नमस्कार मित्रों। आज की जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस है ये 12 तारीख को पहले शेड्यूल थी, वो आज हो रही है। अहमदाबाद में हुई दुखद घटना के बाद वो पोस्टपोन की गई थी और मैं अनुरोध करूंगा मंत्री जी और आप सब से कि हम लोग 2 मिनट का मौन रखकर मृतात्माओं को शांति की प्रार्थना करेंगे। आज की जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस है या मीडिया वार्ता है, ये भारत में शोध को सरल बनाने, ईज़ ऑफ डूइंग रिसर्च के लिए किए गए मुख्य प्रावधानों को रेखांकित करने के उद्देश्य से बुलाई गई है, जिससे देश के साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन यानी एसटीआई के इकोसिस्टम को और मजबूत और गतिशील बनाया जा सके। इस बारे में आपसे विस्तृत जानकारी साझा करने के लिए हमारे साथ उपस्थित हैं माननीय विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी पृथ्वी विज्ञान के केंद्रीय राज्य मंत्री स्वतंत्र प्रभार, प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय, अंतरिक्ष विभाग एवं परमाणु ऊर्जा विभाग में राज्य मंत्री डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी। माननीय मंत्री जी का हार्दिक स्वागत है। साथ ही भारत सरकार के प्रधान वैज्ञानिक सलाहकार प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद जी, जैव प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग के सचिव डॉक्टर राजेश गोखले जी और विज्ञान एवं प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग के अपर सचिव श्री सुनील कुमार जी का भी स्वागत है। आज की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस का स्वरूप कुछ इस प्रकार होगा। सबसे पहले डॉक्टर राजेश गोखले, सचिव जैव प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग, अपने विचार साझा करेंगे। इसके बाद प्रोफेसर अजय कुमार सूद, भारत सरकार के प्रधान वैज्ञानिक सलाहकार, आपके समक्ष अपने विचार रखेंगे। तत्पश्चात विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग के अपर सचिव श्री सुनील कुमार जी द्वारा शोध कार्य को आसान बनाने के लिए आवश्यक प्रमुख हस्तक्षेप यानी प्रोविजंस मेड फॉर ईज ऑफ डूइंग रिसर्च पर प्रेजेंटेशन दिया जाएगा और तत्पश्चात माननीय मंत्री जी मीडिया को संबोधित करेंगे। हम पत्रकारों से प्रश्न उसके बाद लेंगे। आप मंत्री जी से सबसे पहले डॉक्टर राजेश गोखले जी से अनुरोध है कि वे अपने विचार साझा करें।
Namaskar and a very good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Minister of Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, respected Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Ajay Sood ji, Principal Director General Press Information Bureau, Sri Dhirendra Ojha ji, DST Additional Secretary, Sri Sunil Kumar ji, my colleagues from Department of Science and Technology and DBT, directors of colleagues of DBT BRIC institutions, press and media colleagues and friends. I think, first of all, I thank you all for coming here today on this Sunday afternoon for a very important announcement that makes a significant step towards achieving ease of doing science in this country that will foster more research-friendly environment and create a much better ecosystem for carrying out research without any administrative and hurdles. I think, as you know, the world-class research requires not only brilliant minds, but robust institutions but also you require administrative ecosystem that enables scientists to focus on science of today. In any case, if you really look at science in our country is at its peak right now. I mean, we've never had, you take any measurable parameter, in every measurable parameter, whether it's got to do with publications, both quality and quantity, patents, infrastructure, mission programs, investments in the scientific perspective, from every possible way, we are actually doing and increasing our, enhancing our quality, our enhancement numbers in the science and technology and innovation ecosystem. Of course, startups have been growing at a fastest possible pace in the country. Now, to support this, government has introduced a more modified procurement and financial system, which is actually more tailored and suitable for scientific research institutions, actually. And that has been one of the key demand from various institutions and across the systems and across all the institutions, universities, and all these activities. And of course, the reason is obviously is that, the speed, the autonomy, and the flexibility does impacts the quality of science that you do, actually. However, what these OMs has done, couple of OMs that have been come out, is actually that also ensures that the transparency and accountability is maintained, actually. And therefore, the scientific work that sometimes get throttled by conventional procurement delays and GFRs, which have been one of the key bottlenecks, is now actually overcome by providing a clean, much amount of flexibility in the system that is quite transformative. The ease of doing research is obviously one of our country's key ambition. I mean, it's similar to ease of doing good business. And the key to this is that India wants to become a global cutting-edge hub for research and innovation ecosystem, actually. And to be able to do that, we need to provide enabling and compliant environment with best possible expertise, balancing ease with responsibility. And I really think that these kind of processes and procedures that have been come up with are truly transformative for our country's future progress. The GFR guidelines are extremely, sought after by all the PIs, and it was celebrated when many of them got to know, and Honorable Minister's leadership has been amazing in this perspective. Also, the Principal Scientific Advisor and DST Secretary is not here today, but he's been also playing a very, very important role in all of these activities. And we believe that this landmark change will not only expedite research workflows, but will also allow us to attract the talent from across the world. Innovation will happen, and eventually this will accelerate our country's progress in an unprecedented way towards Viksit Bharat. So thank you very much for all of you for taking time, for the media people, and and for asking important questions that are very relevant to today's topic. And I also thank Honorable Minister again and PSA sir for being over here, actually, and all of you being here. Thank you.
Sir Ajay Kumar Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor, to express his views. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me add my words of thanks and welcome to all of you for coming for this very important press briefing. Dr. Jitendra Singh ji on the dais, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Shri Sunil Kumar, Shri Dhirendra Oja, all the people from scientific fraternity, press, and all the well-wishers of science and technology. This, as was mentioned, is a very welcome step which has been taken by the government to really do ease of doing research. So I just thought there couldn't be a better way but to recall what our Honorable Prime Minister said on January 3rd, 2015, the Indian Science Congress inauguration. This was the first one after he took office. So I'll just quote it, and that really reflects what has been happening since then. I quote, when I speak of ease of doing business in India, I also want to pay equal attention to ease of doing research and development in India. We need to put science, technology, and innovation at the top of national priorities. Then he added, our universities must be freed from excessive regulations and cumbersome procedures. They must have a higher degree of academic freedom and autonomy. And then he ended his that address, which I really like. He said, "We must revive the romance of science in society and rekindle the love for it in children." So I thought on this Sunday afternoon, when we are meeting, we should really reflect on what he said in 2015, more than 10 years back. So in the last so many years, you would have seen, as Rajesh ji just now explained, so much has happened in really enhancing S&T ecosystem. So many missions have been launched. In this very hall, we had a meeting on One Nation, One Subscription, which was announced a few months back. We had ANRF launched, and the programs are on the rollout. National Quantum Mission, Cyber Physical System, BioE3, Deep Ocean, AI Mission. You name it, in any critical and emerging technology, India has come forward to reflect its intentions and put the right resources and the ecosystem to really galvanize the entire community. So in this effort, along with all these policies and financial support which has been given, we also need to look at, as was mentioned, the processes to really deliver the outcome. And several researchers have given feedback on key challenges in S&T institutions in the country. So we had feedback from them, and it was also discussed in Minister's monthly meeting sometime back, which Honorable Minister takes with all the science department and along with what are the issues. So there also some of these issues have come, how the processes, which of course were introduced with good intentions and with good feel, but how they can be made more easier for the ease of doing science. So lot of discussions have happened, and the only thing which I wanted to mention, which is mentioned in the brief note, so our office took the lead to consolidate all the views which were being expressed. We sought inputs from all IITs. 13 IITs responded. All the IISc, national labs, DST labs, CSIR labs, DBT labs, and Indian Academy of Sciences, which did a brainstorming with all the UGC, NAC universities, central state universities, and many institutions. So they had conducted a brainstorming session and they gave a report. And all this have been put together in making this report, ease of doing R&D, which was submitted. And DST secretary has also written notes on this. How do we do the ease of science? So I thought at this stage I'll also thank the people from our office who have been involved. Dr. Mani is here, and few others who have really been trying to gather what are all the hurdles which we need to address. So this is a collective effort of all the departments, all the people who are involved, and I would like to thank each one of them and all the people who gave feedback to really come to this stage. All things have not been done. Some are still in the pipeline, and I am sure more will happen. So the inputs, as will be explained very briefly, they have been put under procurement, financial, faculty hiring, and infrastructure development. And good news is that there is a very positive response of the authorities to address all this. And our Honorable Minister has been playing in the background all the roles which need to be done. So I thought I will not take more time, but just to put on record, thanks to all the stakeholders in arriving at consensus, and authorities who have agreed to look into the suggestions of the scientific community and address them. So thank you once again, and we will be happy to answer any clarifications.
Thank you, sir. Now, thank you. Now I request Mr. Sushil Kumar, Sunil Kumar, Additional Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, to make a presentation.
Thank you. With the permission of Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, and the other dignitaries on dais, Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Sood, Secretary DBT, as well as Secretary DST, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, the Principal Director General, my colleagues from Department of Science and Technology, Biotechnology, other research labs, and most importantly, our friends from media. A very good afternoon to you all. I'll make a brief presentation taking you through some of the challenges which were being felt by the scientific fraternity, by the community of researchers, which, as PSS sir and Dr. Gokhale sir gave you some background, with cohesive efforts at different levels, and particularly the stewardship of Honorable Minister and PSS sir, there has been some breakthroughs in the recent past for which we have gathered today morning. To give you the background, the context of this presentation, there was a report submitted by the Economic Advisory Council to the Honorable Prime Minister, India at 2047, in which chapter 12, they talked about reforming research and development in public institutions in India. As PSS sir pointed out, his office compiled a report on the challenges before the scientific community in April 25, which was also presented to various quarters. As was pointed out, the community, the researcher community, a lot of feedback were coming through various channels, some of them even resorted to social media, which you are aware of. So in the backdrop of all this, the challenges which emerged out, and in a focused manner which was presented to the authorities for the reforms that were required. Some of the breakthroughs that we have been able to achieve is the reform that was required in the global tender inquiry system. I think some very unique and particular relaxations in general financial rules, and relaxations related to procurement using a government e-marketplace portal. All this we expect will make the life of our scientific community easy when it comes to doing research. When we talk of global tender inquiry, many of you would be aware that as a Make in India initiative, the processes that were put in place did not allow below rupees 200 crore for people outside the local, let us say, manufacturers. It was meant to encourage local manufacturers, the MSME sector, those who are producing or manufacturing domestically. But when it came to, let us say, a scientific side, the research and development community side, it was felt that many of the high-end specialized research equipments were not being manufactured in India. As of now, as you know, we are still in the process. We are trying to become a product nation, and while a lot of initiatives are being taken in that direction, we are still not yet there. And so GT was hindering our processes. And the processes that were put in place were taking a lot of time. So this was one challenge that was felt. Another was related to general financial rules. You'd be aware that there are methodologies related to the amount for which the procurement is to be made, and the current limit used to be up to rupees 1 lakh. I mean, you could make those purchases without quotation. Then there was the provision for local purchase committee, limited tender and advanced tender. So this was another area where from the feedback that we received from the community, we felt some improvements can be made there. And lastly, the government e-marketplace, you know, it's an initiative by the government of India. It's a major initiative whereby a lot of efficiency, a lot of transparency, objectivity is being infused in the public procurement processes. While the portal has grown and it is proving to be a very important procurement portal in government, again, when it came to the scientific community, to the researcher community, it was felt that there were some unique challenges related to this community, and particularly, as I mentioned earlier, the high-end specialized research equipments were not listed there. The preferences that were being given to the local manufacturers in terms of margin of purchase preference, sometimes there was, I think, scope for some ambiguity there, which was also on some occasions were manipulated by some of the vendors. So it was thought that maybe getting out of the GEM procurement process, getting some relaxation there will serve the dual purpose of the initiative of the government as well as making the life of the scientific researchers easy. So in this backdrop, I think some breakthroughs have been made. So I'll rest there and I'll over to now BV sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil Kumar ji. Now I request Dr. Jitendra Singh, Union Minister of State, Independent Charge of Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office, Department of States and Department of Atomic Energy, to address the media.
Thank you, Mr. Oja. Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India, Professor Sood, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Sunil Kumar ji, friends from the fraternity, friends from media. So as was mentioned by the Director General in the beginning, this press meet was initially scheduled to happen on the 13th, and there was no official ban on not having it, but the moods were so dampened that in the morning I received a call from the Principal Scientific Advisor. He said nobody feels like going in for a press meet. So sensing the mood of everybody in the society across the nation, it was decided not to hold it that day. And therefore, I also have to beg apology for causing inconvenience for you all to be here on a Sunday afternoon. But considering the importance of the subject and also the urgency to disseminate it as early as possible, particularly among the youth across the length and breadth of this country, because this has a lot of stake with the young aspirants, youth scholars, young startups, young innovators, and also young scholars in different institutes and universities. And therefore, we thought the earlier we go about with this, better it would be. At the same time, I also have to register my appreciation of a very Herculean task accomplished by the Principal Scientific Advisor and his team in gathering inputs across the country from different sections of society. As he was mentioning, as many as 13 IITs. As you would appreciate, we have 23 IITs now. So out of that, as many as 13 could be elicited to provide their inputs and also the problems that they face. And at the same time, I would also like to mention that though this press meet is being conducted by the Ministry of Science and Technology, but the ramifications of this go beyond that. So it is highly, highly relevant to the Ministry of Higher Education. And in fact, I think more than the number of institutions that fall in the purview of science and technology, there are larger number of institutions falling in the purview of the higher education, whether that be the IITs, the various institutes, even the NITs. And as many of you would have noticed in the social media, the last several months and also several years, we would get these kind of inputs about young scholars complaining of the dispensation of the funds not happening on time. And even though this government headed by Prime Minister Modi had introduced the options like GEM portal with all the sincerity to bring in more of transparency and objectivity, but at the same time, you would appreciate that Prime Minister Modi is also very conscious about ensuring ease of innovation, ease of research, ease of science, as was mentioned, because that is the way forward. And therefore, in certain specialized purchases, specialized equipment procurement, maybe the GEM portal as of today may not have evolved. It might happen in the course of time, but till then, we could not have let our youngsters be put to any kind of inconvenience. And therefore, as I have to also profusely thank the Honorable Prime Minister and the PMO, this would not have been possible without the cognizance of the Honorable Prime Minister. But as all of us know, Prime Minister is known to have the capacity to break many taboos of the past. In fact, this government has also done away with as many as 1,600 rules in the past. And I have been a witness to that because I also deal with the DOPT. And so this is also in the same spirit that we are going ahead. And incidentally, this is also the time when the government is completing 11 years of its being in the office. And as India moves from a service-driven economy to an innovation-driven economy, we have no other option but to focus on innovation. And focusing on innovation is no longer only the business of the Science and Technology Ministry or the Science or the Ministry of Education. In fact, the whole of government's concern, whole of nation's concern. And as the Honorable Prime Minister has always been emphasizing whole of government, whole of science, whole of nation approach, I think this is also in keeping with that. And therefore, this is imperative on those of us who are part of the government to allow as much freedom as possible to the young innovators to realize the flight of their ideas. Because when we are looking forward to play a global role, and now that we have moved over to the 4th economy from the 10th economy that we were 11 years back, and now hope to be in another 3 years rank 3 and then moving on, I think we'll have to follow the global strategies, global parameters, and our benchmarks have to be related to the global benchmarks, so we can no longer rest or take satisfaction on what others have done within domestically, and we have done better than that. So in order to do that, we also need to make sure that within the framework given to us, with exercising all the integrity at our command, we try to give as much freedom as possible for the innovation to grow. And you must have realized the intent of this government over the last 10 years, some of the most unexpected decisions taken, which were not even demanded for, like, for example, opening the space to the private sector. And also this year, the announcement to open the nuclear sector. Now, these are two departments which had reconciled to function with behind a wheel of secrecy. There was no demand. If those working in these departments were reconciled that this was the way how it should be. The nation and the society also felt that, look, these are the departments, they have to function like that. But when it was realized that to move on from where we were, we could not wholly depend on the government sources and resources, Prime Minister Modi allowed us to open up to the private sector. And the results have been miraculous. If you take even the example of space, we were just a minimal economy till about 4 or 5 years back. Today we are $8 billion US, and the pace of its ascent is so fast that the next 8-10 years we hope to grow 5 times more to $45 billion US, which means that in the years to come, space economy of India is going to be a very important component of India's growth story. So also we are also proceeding in the nuclear sector, and of course the biotech sector, led by Dr. Rajesh Gokhale. I don't think before this government came in, there was ever any importance given to this department, and hardly even anybody knew who was the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology. And this was a contradiction, considering the fact that all across the world, the economists of the view that the next industrial revolution is going to be biotech-driven, like the last one, which was IT-driven. And there's going to be a shift of economy, a paradigm shift from manufacturing sector to the regeneration cycles, to the recycling cycles, to the gene-driven cycles. And with somebody like Pallav Bagla being there, he would be happy to know that the Axiom mission has a whole lot of component driven by Dr. Gokhale's department. The kits have been provided to Shubhanshu Shukla to carry out exclusive experiments in this space which were never done before. And in fact, we are one of the first departments across the world which has entered into a formal MOU with the Department of Space, realizing that very soon we'll have an exclusive domain called space biology. And I was telling him in lighter vein that very soon we'll also have a specialty of space medicine to take care of the astronauts who go up there or who are lodged there in the International Space Station. So all these plant-related experiments and also experiments related to human physiology, the muscle regeneration, etc., which are going to be conducted by Shubhanshu, have been catered to by the Department of Biotechnology. So that gives me an opportunity. What I'm trying to say is that we are now on a very futuristic course, and therefore, I'm glad that this could have happened only under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, when it was pointed out that some of the general financial rules were proving to be an impediment. It was his nod, because otherwise the general mood and the approach in the government sector, in the government circles, is to remain status quoist, to play safe. If you move the file, write, discuss and move down the file, you don't have anything to worry. But if you write a note taking a decisive view, you always feel and keep asking yourself whether it was right or not. So I'm glad that we did not get imprisoned in that traditional mode of working. And of course, as this government has tried to introduce a new work culture. So what these new provisions are, they are actually, they are flexible, they are enabling, they are efficient. Now, we never had a dearth of human resource in our scientific endeavors. I always keep talking of those pictures of Sarabhai carrying some of his saman on the bicycle, which means even that time we never had a dearth of even in nuclear medicine. Homi Bhabha was at that time one of the world-renowned nuclear scientists, held back because of a quirk of fate. He was here on a holiday, the World War broke, he couldn't go back, and he took up the task over here. But what we lacked was an enabling milieu, which is to be provided by the policymakers, which is to be provided by the political dispensation. Right from day one, as was being mentioned in the declaration of intent made by Prime Minister Modi in 2015, and PSA was quoting that, the intent was to provide that enabling value as far as possible and to try to go as far. So this is in keeping with that. This is another enabling provision or enabling decision taken by the government, and therefore it deserves to be propagated as wide and far as possible. Because as I said, if you have to move on, we have to give up some of the outdated procedures. We also have to do away with red tapeism. And also, which is not often said very politely, the cumbersome approvals for which sometimes the government sector becomes notorious. So we have tried to do away with that. And these provisions will benefit the entire ecosystem of research, innovation, and education, not alone these 2-3 departments which you see on the podium today. And this is also, to my mind, very much in keeping with the National Education Policy 2020. Because in NEP 2020, you allow them the privilege to juggle with their subjects, to change their subjects, to also determine their course of study depending on the evolving aptitudes, and allow them the liberty not to become prisoners of what their parents chose. Suppose they thought you would be a doctor and you couldn't be, and then you don't have to keep on following botany and zoology for the rest of your life. So if you have given them that provision, then you're also providing them the ecosystem. An ecosystem by way of providing the relevant scientific equipment, scientific apparatus, and scientific mechanism. And that is what this provision is meant for. And to make it very precise, because I would not now talk in the scientific jargon, because so that you would carry it in layman's. The directors of the various scientific organizations and institutions will be empowered to make non-GEM procurements. So that's the important provision. So you don't have to necessarily follow GEM, which of course was taken up, as I said in the beginning, with a very noble intention of introducing transparency. It also saved hugely on the state exchequer. But here, considering a special case where some of the equipments may not be falling in that purview, or they may not be easily amenable. So the directors, and I'm sure the directors will exercise this freedom with all the integrity at their command. So we have also tried to, at the same time, repose huge trust on the science leaders of this country. So they have been exempted, and this is going to be a huge leap. So they have no now reason to complain that they could not get the scientific procurement for their research and scholar. And secondly, the financial ceilings for procurement have been enhanced. For smaller purchase, the ceiling was earlier up to 1 lakh, it's been now increased to 2 lakh. For the purchases through the purchase committee, earlier it was up to 10 lakh. It was only, from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. Now it's been increased to 2 lakh to 25 lakh. So almost double in both the cases. And again, as I said, now the safeguard would be the integrity of those who take the decisions. It's been done with a huge amount of good faith, and I'm sure we will not betray that trust. And thirdly, the limited tender inquiry has been increased from rupees 50 lakh to rupees 1 crore. And lastly, the important is the advertised tender inquiry applicability has been increased from rupees 50 lakh to rupees 1 crore. In addition, as I said, this is equally relevant for the Ministry of Education. The vice chancellors and the directors of the various institutions have been empowered to approve global tender inquiry up to rupees 200 crores, which is, I think, quite a good amount, which enables procuring the best of the best equipment globally possible. And therefore, all that I can say at the end is that this has been a very path-breaking decision, taken with the cognizance of the Honorable Prime Minister, with a lot of faith, a lot of trust in all of us, and all those who are entrusted with the responsibility of using these prerogatives. And also the message should go out from the Office of the Prime Minister and from the government that we trust you, we value you, we are committed to you. And now it's our turn to live up to that trust. It's all being done in the good faith of enabling the further ascent of the growth of India, and I hope we also would take that in that spirit. But at the same time, I'm also sure that a lot of grievance which was being received from across the country, mostly by the young workers, would also be relieved or redeemed to an extent. And in the future also, if there are some more inputs, we would be ready to accommodate accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, floor is open for the questions. I will take question from the media, which Honorable Minister will answer. 29.
So this is unrelated to the press conference, but very much important for us. Gaganyaan, the Axiom 4 mission has been repeatedly being postponed. And there was some ambiguity between what ISRO and you said in the morning yesterday and what ISRO posted in the evening as an update to the launch. You had mentioned a particular date on June 19, whereas the ISRO post later in the evening was ambiguous about that. So can we have a bit of a clarity on what is it?
He is Mr. Sagar Kulkarni from PTI.
Hey, what did ISRO post?
In the morning, they had given a date, but by evening, that date was missing.
From the ISRO post?
From ISRO post.
No, but if you read our post, there are 2 commas, and in between the 2 commas, there are 2 words. As of now. 3 words. So the next launch date of Axiom, comma, as of now, comma, is scheduled for June 19. Further update, if any, will be accordingly shared. So what happens is that you cannot actually pinpoint a date, but of course, 19 is the date which is very much there, being seriously considered. But of course, then certain things, imponderables happen because the placement of the planets, the weather conditions, so sometimes it happens. But usually, the NASA for a long time had followed a practice to deal with the media by saying not earlier than 19. They would use that word. to keep the window open. So that's how we mentioned as of now. But the team Axiom has conveyed that all those issues which led to the delay have been addressed. That's also we pointed out in that.
Yes, 47. अपना परिचय भी दे दीजिए.
So I'm Jacob Koshi from the Hindu newspaper. So you have introduced these, these reforms. I mean, potentially removing hurdles for scientists to procure, etc. But there is also a long-standing issue regarding young scientists, scholars, and as well as PIs and researchers who are not able to get their salaries or their stipend payments on time. In fact, even the Inspire scheme, because of rules that were made that required you to shift bank accounts twice, from Maharashtra Bank, etc. The net result is students are not getting their money, in time and for several years, sometimes for months, and it is really causing them a lot of hardship and stress. So institutionally, have you recognized this, and institutionally, are you taking care of this?
No, I think that's been already addressed to a great extent. Secretary DBT might like to answer because Secretary DST is not here. Actually, he was dealing with this. So we have tried to evolve via media because that was the consequence of a decision taken across the ministries. Then, but we realized that that stand-on tender, what is that called? Treasury single account was not very feasibly workable in case of scholars looking for smaller amounts. So we have arranged a series of meetings with the concerned officers, with the finance ministry, also the cabinet secretary. So we have arrived at a via media where we would, in a way, try to keep the amount at the disposal of the institution. So that has been to a great extent, because you are right, there was, but I think I would request you friends also to carry forward this message that it has been resolved. In future, of course, Rajesh would add, we may not have such kind of a problem. The point is that the grievance received so much of echo effect that the echo continues even after the redressal has been done. So we could actually convey it to them. And Rajesh, you could add also because you are dealing directly with this.
I think I would completely agree with Honorable Minister that obviously there were some issues because of implementation of Treasury single account mechanism that has been set up. And these kind of fluctuations do impact people's salary structure, which should not happen. But I think this has all been very streamlined now. And just in release, actually, mechanism does help
Actually,
government
why
a lot.
you still see some of the complaints is because it's going to take some time, maybe another few months before it gets in place.
But
Yeah, please continue.
I think in next 1 month, almost everybody's will be released, actually, both in Department of Science and Technology and Department of Biotechnology as well, actually. And I think thereafter, there may be a very minor one more disruption, but it won't, then I think everything will be streamlined for the perfect future.
And I must appreciate all the secretaries of the concerned departments because they took up the issue very passionately, very seriously. In fact, also succeeded in explaining this to the bureaucracy because the decision was taken with possibly not fully mindful of the peculiar constraints that are faced by scientific workers. So once it was brought in their notice, they were very cooperative. So we have to also thank the finance department functionaries as well as the cabinet secretariat.
I think the direct benefit transfers would actually solve most of the issues, but that does require a little bit of modifications actually. So I think the preparation is being done for that perspective because fellowships have also contingency money, and the contingency money is not for personal use, right? The contingency money is for lab related activities too. These are the kind of challenges when you face when you transit from one system to another mechanism. And that's where, these are being solved, and therefore there may be one more little bit of small hiccup there. But I think in the end, I think it will be a very, very smooth system.
So not necessary disruption could be a delay, to put it softly.
Thank you. Anybody else wants to ask a question? पूछिए. Yes.
So just to follow up on Sagar's question, you know, there have also been reports that there is some kind of lack of communication or cross-wiring between SpaceX and ISRO, because it turned out even in ISRO's own post that they said that they pretty much had to insist that SpaceX conduct certain tests. Now, can you shed any more clarity on that? Because
No,
it's an unusual situation.
No, I am not aware of any lack of communication among the two. The chairman, when he comes, he would be able to respond to that. But as far as our understanding goes, there's been a very optimum amount of mutual cooperation. And when that leakage was pointed out, both the teams joined together to address that and agreed to address that, and now we have agreed that it has been addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wants to ask a question, or we should wind up? Okay, I think there's no more questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
The lunch is served at 4th floor cafeteria. All of you are requested to please have lunch with us. Thank you.